One of the things I did was doing Northern Ireland peace talks, because you remember when Blair came in '97, it had all gone back to violence again. The IRA had started killing, and the big bomb in Canary Wharf and a bunch of bombs in Northern Ireland. And we, Tony Blair managed to get them back into peace talks. And then quite quickly, in about a year, we got them from there to the Good Friday Agreement, where they finally signed off on a peace agreement. And I guess that's kind of what you're facing, because if you're going to make this stop after all these years, it's not going to be something you do in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's something that's going to take a very, very long time.
1 Mile Away charts the beginnings of a truce between Birmingham gangs, the Johnson crew and the Burger Bar boys. Director Penny Wilcock mediates between opposing factions, gives them access to advisors from the top of the tree. From there, it's up to them to see past suspicion and paranoia and make the peace process work.
Nothing to live for, nothing to look up to, no role models in their lives, so it's hard to get through.
It's been this way for so long. It's what they know, it's what they go to bed for, what they wake up for. They're just comfortable in that. They don't see no need for no change or nothing like that. So the hard part is basically getting a vision across of the bigger picture of, like, you know, what we really should be doing.
Andrew, I thought this documentary was really interesting, not least because of the stakes that it's playing with. There's some real risks for the people involved here, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think that actually filters very much through into the conditions of it being made. I mean, you can tell right from the first frame that, firstly, that Penny Wilcock's access is completely hampered by the fact that half the people she wants to talk to won't talk to her because they're all totally paranoid and suspicious of everybody's motives, and that's actually the kind of defining emotion of the film, which is basically suspicion. Everyone's sort of looking over their shoulders. Everyone's sort of terrified of, basically, I suppose, being killed or sort of getting into serious trouble. And it sort of makes for quite a curious documentary, because pretty much half the time, she is waiting around with somebody else who's on the phone to somebody who you can't see, and they're kind of having some kind of argument about whether or not to actually speak to the filmmaker or just to do anything. And I suppose it sort of reflects the frustration that the people who she does talk to are feeling about what they're trying to do.
Peter, the making of it sounds frustrating, but is it a frustrating watch?
No, I didn't find it so at all. I was very impressed by it. I found myself really kind of gobsmacked with admiration for what Penny Wilcock was doing. She was bringing a kind of, I can only describe it as social entrepreneurialism to the activity of documentary filmmaking. And it was risky and bold of her to do it. I liked it better than the movie that this grew out of, One Day, which was her kind of gangbanger grime musical, which melded documentary with kind of dramatic stuff, and I thought that was a little bit uneasy. But this, I think, is much riskier and bolder, and to get these two gang members together, again, fascinating stuff. There's a terrific scene where she brings in Jonathan Powell, the civil servant behind the Northern Ireland peace process, to talk to them. A brilliant idea, a real coup. It's a shame that doesn't really lead anywhere, but nevertheless, she got those two gangsters together with Jonathan Powell, and it was a fascinating scene. It really was good. And she brought out other insights as well, the generational difference between the Handsworth riots of the 1980s, where gangs didn't exist. They were all together against the police or possibly the racists of the BNP and the National Front. Now that's different. Now they're all against each other in this futile and grotesque world of gang warfare. And she brought out an interesting point, which has been made before, but I think bears repeating, that during the riots, the gangster divisions dissolved. And they forgot about it in their great rush to loot shops. Now, Penny Wilcock sort of comes almost close to saying that that's okay. It's cool to loot shops because we've dissolved our differences, guys. But it's a very good point. And I was really impressed by this. So many documentaries are, they are taking no risks at all, really. They are standing back. They are, as it were, sort of Louis Theroux documentaries where they're sort of taking the mick a bit. But this was really, I think, risky stuff. And it was interesting. It was trying to intervene, but trying to do something good and make a film about what they're doing. And I got to say, I think fair play to Penny Wilcock. I think it's not perfect. It's flawed because the whole thing is flawed. The whole thing isn't going to work. It's just a process. But fair play to her. Really a pat on the back for her, because this is really good stuff.
Man are getting older now. We've got kids in it. Can't be running around gunning down man all your life. So it's time for a change. done, you're burying your friend and you've done, you're crying, your brother's mum's crying, you think, you can't be living like this, done. This is crazy. 18 and I'm going down for packing a gun. Misled by my elders, I was slanging for funds. Still attacking my lungs. Weed smoke got me para. Celebrity.
If we all got together today and said, yo, the beef between Burger Bar and Johnson's is done, it's dead, nothing ain't changed.
Because the next man dies now or the next shot goes up, it's just gonna get messy again.